A while, but I'm here back with another tournament recap video. We had a little break in the season, December to this is February now. We had a gap in tournaments, I believe. I don't think we had one in between. If we did, it was in January, and I didn't make a video on that, forgot to, and I just won't be making a video on that one because I can't remember it, to be quite honest with you. But this is going to be a recap video for Toledo Bend. I think it's February 21st. I believe that's when it was. This is going to be a third place finish. I had 1975, so that was a pretty good day on Toledo Bend. I spent the last 3-4 weekends out there. Had really good practices with a high 8 and a 6-pounder at almost every weekend. The high 8 was only one weekend, but a 6 or above, or a few 6s and above every single weekend. So really consistent practice. Friday it dropped. I had a really not great day of practice, not bad per se. Still managed to have 19 during the tournament, so it wasn't a horrible day of practice. But let's just hop right into it. So it's warming up. It's definitely a warming trend here in Texas right now. You got fish going up to spawn or already spawned and coming back out. Definitely pre-spawn. So 8 to 14 foot of water was my main focus. I want to catch fish transitioning up. Maybe fish that are spawning real deep on the bottom of stumps, or floating in the stumps, spawning on the stumps, or just using them as highways to come in and out of their spawning areas. So going into practice, I looked for that for the past 3 or 4 weeks. Found some great areas where there's big fish moving in and out. Lots and lots of giant fish I saw yesterday. Couldn't get them to eat. Ended up catching a few real solid ones, like 3s and 4s. But couldn't get the big girls to bite. So I had 2 baits that really played this weekend. And the first is going to be a Demiki rig. Obviously, scoping anywhere in the country, Demiki rig plays a huge player. This is a 5.5 inch freeloader. So this is the bigger one with 8 ounce range roller head. So I threw that mostly at the fish that were lower in the water column, probably about 8 to 14 down. So the guys that were quite hugging the bottom, I'd pick their head up with that minnow and they just come eat it. I filled my limit very quickly with it, had around 18 pounds off of it by 8:30. Just that one minnow. This is a Lew's 6'9" medium light spinning rod with a 12-pound AbrazeX leader, and this is Power Pro Super Slick V2, I think 15-pound braid. So overall, this is a great setup to throw this minnow this time of year. I feel like Toledo is normally a smaller minnow lake, but just to get those big bites, get that drawing power, I had to put that bigger one on, pick their heads up in order for them to eat. Now, I said that was for the lower fish. So for the fish that were higher in the water column, I threw a Nico rig. So this is a Zoom Magnum trickworm with a 16th ounce nail weight in it. This is going to be, I think, red bug's the color, on like a 1/0 cover shot hook from VMC. Good hook, not meant for Nico rigging, but I like throwing a Nico rig with it. I would throw this at those fish anywhere from 1 foot subsurface all the way to about 8 or 9 foot under the surface. If I wasn't throwing that minnow, this is what I was throwing. I had like 3 rods on the deck. They were really dialed eating these few baits. I wish I could have got the big ones to eat. I had a giant in practice come up and weight this under the surface. Definitely pushing a DD or over. My guess is over. I set eyes on her. She was huge. But that's a great worm. All East Texas lakes, that's a good worm to throw. That's a good color to throw. Normally, I don't throw a Nico rig on Toledo Bend. Usually, I can get them to eat some sort of bait fish presentation, whether it be jerkbait, A-rig, swim bait, minnow. But something was off this past weekend. I couldn't get them to bite normal stuff, so I had to pick up that Nico rig, and sure enough, as soon as I did, I just started getting bit really good on it. So that Nico rig worked pretty well for me. Was a big player in my success. I had my biggest fish today was like a 4.6 on it. Threw it out to her. She ate it almost instantly. But the week before and the weeks working up to it, that Nico rig was a huge player as well. That minnow was less of a player. Matter of fact, I couldn't even remember the last time I caught a fish on a minnow on Toledo before this weekend. So just changing conditions, got to adapt with it. Keep rolling with it. Did pretty good. I'm real happy with my finish. kind of disappointed I had to do it with 2 spinning rods on deck. This is just the same setup. I've got 15-pound Abrazex fluorocarbon on here, and then Tire Pro Super Slick V2 green braid. Just a personal preference on which color you use. I don't think it matters. That's just what I had available, so that's what I put on. Throwing these on Daiwa Regal LT 100s. They're pretty small reels, got really good drag system, really small handle, and get them going pretty quick. I like these reels, never had a problem with them. They're pretty cheap, they're pretty good. I've caught lots and lots of giant fish on them. But so let's break down into like where the areas I found these fish at. I said 8 to 12 foot of water, or 8 to 14. I wasn't real specific with what I was looking for. So given it's Toledo Bend, you've got trees everywhere. Trees are a huge part of where the bass live, obviously, right? But you got to figure out which ways to pick those trees apart, make it more efficient for you, do it quicker, and figure out which ones are finding fish. So keep that trolling motor on 10, because you can't side scan through these trees a lot of times. You can't down scan through them either. They're just too thick. You're bouncing off of them. You put a hole in your boat. So keeping that trolling motor on 10, dodging and diving, weaving the trees, just trying to locate as many bass as you can find in practice is pretty beneficial. So I had my Garmin trolling motor on 10, just scanning through those trees, panning, and I got a pattern together a few weeks ago. It was shallow drains leading off of main lake. So anything 8 to 14 where the drain was just consistently the same depth. So not much of a drain, more of a saddle per se, because saddles are just kind of a dip that stays level, whereas the drain is going to be deeper and it's going to eventually go up. But these saddles across long points, long flats, there would be little hot spots in the saddle, whether it be in the middle of the saddle, on a little secondary point in the saddle, or in the mouths of the saddle. In this instance, the fish that I caught all came off of the mouth of one saddle in about 8.5 foot of water. That's where I filled my limit. Had 18 pounds pretty quick yesterday morning. And there was lots and lots of big fish moving in and out of that saddle, running up and down it, using it as a highway to come pre-spawn or just feed. There was gizzard shad on the bottom. They were chasing gizzards. I saw some of that. Couldn't get those fish to eat. Got one of those fish to eat last week. It was an 8-9, I think, or something like that. And she had a gizzard shad down her throat. So that's how I knew these fish were there. Knew what they were doing. Had been watching them for a while, just fishing them around every week. Like I said, there was lots of giants with these fish. I just couldn't get them to bite this week, and I don't know what it was. I threw everything I could think of: jerk bait, A-rig, glide bait, swim bait. I got them to respond really, really good to an 8-inch mag draft, but just couldn't get them to eat it all the way. So it is what it is. I had a good time. The lake was fishing really good, has been fishing really good. Toledo's on fire. I'm sure somebody's not gonna like me saying that, but Toledo's really on fire. And if you haven't been, you need to go to Toledo Bend in the springtime or wintertime. If you can find weather where it's not blowing 100 miles an hour wind, then you need to get over to Toledo, because it is fun. It is fun as soon as it gets cold, from like October all the way up into January, February. That lake is on fire, just scoping, not scoping, cranking, dragging. You can catch them doing however you want. Grass fishing, like, it's fun. So many people out there though. That's the only bad thing about it. Last week I had to go to 2 weeks ago I had to go to 3 boat ramps before I could find a parking spot, and that kind of turned me off on the lake a little bit. I wanted to go up north, so I fished in north end of the Toledo Bend in some community holes. And that's where these drains were at. One of them is not a very well-known community hole. The other one is. They're both going to not be named just for the sake of them, because I don't like to fish against my competitors in them. Because I didn't see another high school boat the entire day where I was fishing. But these bass, they're just feeding up and down these drains or these saddles all day. The same ones coming and going all day. You'll watch them. You can watch a fish for 15 minutes on live scope, follow him around, wait till he's feeding, cast to him, then catch him. That was the cool thing about that lake, is you can follow these big fish individually through the timber. You can weave and dive, and I've paid attention to their behavior in the past couple weeks, and I've waited until I know for a fact that they were feeding or getting ready to feed, and then I'd cast to them, and that's how I'd catch majority of the fish that I casted at. Now the big ones, that was harder to predict. Couldn't predict it, actually. None of them ever really got super in the feeding mode or feeding position, it didn't seem like. So I just took opportunistic casts at those, found them threw at them, found them, threw at them as time went on. But the 3 to 4 pounders that I caught and weighed in the tournament, I waited until they were picking their heads up off the bottom, getting ready to either feed up, or they were going from the surface, picking their heads down, facing down, getting ready to feed down. And that also dictated a little bit of what bait I'd throw at them. If they were feeding down, coming from the surface, I'd throw the Nico on them, because you can work it downward a little bit slowly. Whereas if they're on the bottom and they're coming up to feed, you can throw that minnow and work it over their head, and they're going to come up for that minnow, and they're going to go down for the Nico rig. So just a little scoping trick, just playing with those baits, figuring out how you can get those fish to feed, how you can get them to react. It's kind of sneaky what just two very simple baits can do so differently from each other. But another thing that I threw was jerkbait. Didn't keep any of the fish that I caught on it during the tournament, but great way to fill a limit. I think I caught like 30 fish on it that day, probably just under my cull size, so I didn't get to upgrade off any on the jerkbait. I lost a really good one on jerkbait, but that was just a provoke, like a 106 DD, I think that's what it's called. Just regular jerkbait, 6 cents. Color kind of didn't matter, any shad color. Didn't have to be silent, just a deep dive jerkbait, working through those trees on Toledo Bend with the Nico, with the Demiki. Had a great tournament, 3rd place. So in this trail, I've gotten first, and 3rd in the only 3 tournaments we've had. So I'm gonna keep the ball rolling, hopefully in the last 2, and finish it out strong. Thank you for watching.